On paper, Portugal is the dream place to buy. You have the sun, the safety, the lifestyle, but the moment you start looking for a home, you realize the system is stacked against you. There's no real price history or MLS, the agents work for the seller to get the highest price for the property, and the fees seem to grow the second anyone hears your accent in Portugal. So let's start with the biggest blind spot that I see in Portugal, and this is not having an MLS. In many countries, you have either an MLS or public sold data that you can see what homes on your street have actually sold for. You can see the comparable properties, you can see all the properties that are up for sale, their locations, and all the data that you could possibly imagine, so you can make an informed decision. But in Portugal, unfortunately, you don't have any of that. You don't have the data on how long the property's been sitting on the market, because if you look on Idealista, it only tells you when the listing has been updated, not how long the listing has been on the market for. So the property could have been sitting there for a year and a half, and it says updated 24 hours ago. So you have no idea how long it's been sitting on the market, if there's been any historical price reductions. So let's say the property started out on the market at 3 million euros, and now it's been priced down to 2 million euros. There may be something wrong with this property that you're not seeing, or the seller really needs to sell it. This can all be used and leveraged in the negotiation process, but if you don't have access to this data, then you are really missing out. Also, unfortunately, in Portugal, you can't see what the properties are sold for on the street. So if your neighbor sold last year and they sold at a price which was significantly less than what you're willing to pay or looking to pay on that property, then you can see that potentially the seller is dreaming about an unrealistic price. But unfortunately, you don't have this data available to make an informed decision. So what happens? You sit in your hotel or Airbnb at night and scroll thinking you're getting to know the market, but in reality, you're building a picture of almost fully biased asking prices and built on complete guesswork. Then you land on a property you like. Maybe it's 2 million euros, and you look at the area to see the other listings, and you think that the other listings around the area, even though you can't see the exact location, which makes it very difficult to estimate if it is a good deal or not, you see other properties around 2.2 million or 1.8 million or 1.9 million, and you get a feeling that you're in and around that area. So perhaps you go and you offer 1.7 million or 1.8 million on that property. But if you had the real data, then you could see that the properties on that street were selling for around 1.2 million or 1.3 million, and it was way above asking value. But without this data, you really can't make an informed decision. And this is why, sometimes you see the property prices just rising like crazy, and it's not actually what's selling in reality. So it's really important that you work with somebody that has an unbiased point of view, that isn't the seller's agent that's working for the seller and you in this situation, as they will obviously tell you that it's a fantastic price, you're getting a great deal, it's below the market average, whereas you actually have no idea on how to rebuttal any of these things that the seller's agent might be saying, because you can't tell if it's true because you don't have the data available to you. So that leads me on to my next point. Let's talk about agents. When you have a nice place online and click contact agent button, fill in all your details, it feels like you've hired someone. In your head, that person is now your agent. In Portugal, that is almost never true. The agent you call is hired by the seller. The seller signs a contract with the agency, agrees to pay a commission, and that commission is normally a percentage of the sale price. So when you show up, the agent is already on the seller's team. To make it even more fun, it is legal and very common that the same agent or agency handle both sides of the deal. This is almost always the case. This is called a dual agent or dual agency. One agency, one commission, two clients. In reality, you get paid what they get paid the more that you pay. Think about their incentives. They do not earn extra money by telling you to walk away from that deal. They do not get a bonus by telling you this area is not right for you and what you're looking for, and maybe another area or the next town down the road may be better suited to your lifestyle and everything else. Their job is just to sell the stock that they have listed with them. So if you reach out to 10 selling agents and you live in 10 little different bubbles by each one of these, each one pushing you towards a handful of their properties that they have listed, they talk up the street, that building, that view, and they never say, well, there's actually a better option across the town, but that's not my listing. That just doesn't happen. One of the very big dangers about this is the buyers start to share everything with their agent. The budget, the timing, how much they like the place, how scared they are of losing it. You're thinking, this is my trusted partner in Portugal, but they're thinking, okay, I know how much I can push up this price and get the most commission possible for this deal. Now, this does not mean by any means that these agents are bad people. They are normally very good people, but their business model is built around not protecting you and is built around getting the highest price for the property and keeping their sellers happy. This is why I always say selling agents are good for access, but not for strategy. If you want somebody truly on your side, you need an exclusive buyer's agency in Portugal that just represents you, the buyer. We are an exclusive buyers agency called Portugal Buyers. If you're interested in finding out more, you can click the first link in the description below to book a free call with me or a member of my team. So I look forward to seeing you there. Let's get on to the next point. Now, we all know that buying in a new country is stressful. You don't know the language yet, you don't know the rules, and you really don't want to mess up on the legal side. So when somebody in a suit tells you, my fee for doing the legal fees is 1.5% of the purchase price, you just pay and you nod because you do not want the stress. But that is a crazy amount to be paying for legal fees. Because let's say you're purchasing a property for 2-3 million euros, you're spending 30, 40 grand on legal fees. And I'm going to be completely honest with you here, the paperwork is pretty similar for a 300,000 euro property compared to a 2 million euro property or 10 million euro property. There's really not much of a difference. In fact, normally the higher price the property, the more in order their paperwork is. So definitely don't work with a lawyer that is on a fixed percentage, especially if you're purchasing at a high price. There should be a fixed price for the legal fees, but make sure that you are working with top lawyers. It's very important. So all the clients that we work with, we refer them to the best lawyers on the market at a very reasonable fixed price because we are able to negotiate that down because we refer so many clients to them. But it's really important whoever you work with, you trust, they understand the law, you've asked all the right questions possible. It's very, very important, this step. Now, I'm definitely not saying that you should bargain like crazy on everything. It is so important to work with the best lawyers, so definitely don't cheap out. And this also goes for tax specialists, construction workers, and everything else. And it is true that you get what you pay for in a lot of cases, but there are so many instances where you see legal firms, and big legal firms at this, that you pay a percentage of the property purchase price to, let's say 1.5%, and you get put with a brand new lawyer that's just out of school, that doesn't really understand the property market, and you get in a lot of trouble because of this. So you're paying a very high amount for not that much quality, and this is very common. So make sure that you trust, as I mentioned before, the legal team that you're working with, the tax specialists that you're working with, the construction workers, and everybody else throughout this process. That goes to property surveyors, everything else. Every single stage of this process is so important for being safe, but you can also save tens of thousands during this as well very easily. So if this feels a bit overwhelming when thinking about purchasing a property in Portugal, then we can help you out with every single aspect of the property purchasing process. That is from the beginning of setting you up with your visa, NIF, and everything else, from liaising with the seller's agents to organize viewings to get all the data on all the properties. We have access to tools that we can see how long a property has been on the market, whether there's been any price reductions, and give you all the data that is possible on this market so you can make an informed decision and we can negotiate the best price for you on the market. Among other things, referring you to all the professionals that we trust and have worked with hundreds of times. So if you are interested in that, you can click the first link in the description below to book a free call with a member of my team or myself. I look forward to seeing you there, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.